If you're looking for a holiday dessert bread that is as stunning visually as it is in taste, look no further. This sourdough chocolate babka is going to make you a hero in whatever crowd you feed it to. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Taylor, and like many from-home workers, I have been making sourdough bakes ever since the earliest days of the 2020 coronavirus pandemic. If you want to get a free printout of some of the best sourdough tips and tricks that I have picked up over the years, go ahead and hit the link in the description. Now onto the bake. For this recipe, you will need 300 grams of all-purpose flour, 100 grams of whole milk, 100 grams of eggs or just 2 eggs, 100 grams of butter, 140 grams of sourdough starter, 30 grams of sugar, and 7 grams of salt. For the filling, you will need 100 grams of sugar, 75 grams of butter, 75 grams of finely chopped bittersweet chocolate, and 25 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. To start, in the morning, combine 70 grams of flour with 70 grams of water with your residual sourdough starter culture. I'm using rye as usual, but you can use any flour that you have on hand or desire. Let this rise for 4 hours or until doubled in size and bubbly. Then in a stand mixer, combine 100 grams of milk, 100 grams or 2 eggs, 30 grams of sugar, 7 grams of salt, and 140 grams of your sourdough culture. Use the whisk attachment to combine these at a medium-low speed. Once these are thoroughly combined, remove the whisk and add the paddle attachment. Gradually add in 300 grams of flour and mix just to combine. Remove the paddle attachment and check for flour at the bottom and the sides of the bowl with a spatula. Then cover the bowl and let it rest for 30 minutes. After the resting time, put the dough hook attachment on and begin to knead the dough. Start adding your butter 1 tablespoon at a time until all the butter is incorporated. Make sure you wait until each pat of butter has incorporated before adding the next. Once all the butter has incorporated, continue to knead on medium speed for 5 to 8 minutes or until the dough passes the window pane test. To test your dough for this, simply stretch out a small piece of dough slowly with your fingers. If the dough breaks apart immediately, keep kneading. If you can stretch it thin enough to see light coming through the other side, then it's ready to bulk ferment. Cover your dough with plastic wrap and allow it to sit in a warm place until doubled in size. This should take between 4 to 8 hours. Once it's doubled, place the dough in the fridge overnight for it to continue to develop its deep flavors. In the morning, prepare your filling. Since we're making a chocolate babka, we'll be making a chocolate filling. But you can also make a cinnamon filling for an equally delicious cinnamon babka. For the chocolate filling, combine 100 grams of sugar, 75 grams of butter, 75 grams of finely chopped bittersweet chocolate, and 25 grams of unsweetened cocoa powder. Melt the mixture over very low heat, stirring until just melted. Allow the filling to cool slightly. Then remove your dough from the fridge. Empty the dough out onto a floured workspace and dust it lightly with flour. Using a rolling pin, flatten your dough into a large rectangle so that your dough is between 1/4 inch and 1/2 inch thick. Spread the chocolate filling over the surface of the dough and roll it up tightly. Then transfer the dough to a surface that you can cut on. Now, what I did not do but should have done is transfer the roll to a freezer for 15 minutes. And it'll make it a lot easier for the next part. Carefully slice down the middle of the roll so that you have 2 braids, leaving one end intact. Then carefully braid the 2 sides of the loaf together and pat the ends so that it fits your butter-greased baking dish. You can use a loaf tin for an even better shape, but this was all we had at the moment. Then cover it with plastic wrap. Feel free to put the loaf in the fridge to allow further cold fermentation up to 1 day. Otherwise, let the babka loaf puff up by 50% or so. This should take between 3 to 4 hours. Once it's ready, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and prepare an egg wash. Combine 1 egg with a tablespoon of water and whisk together. Brush this all over the top of the babka loaf and then place it in the oven to bake for 40 to 45 minutes. Once the babka is finished, remove it from the oven and brush on some maple syrup while it's still hot in the pan. Let it rest for 10 minutes and then remove it from the baking dish. Make sure you continue to let it rest for another 30 to 60 minutes before slicing into this incredible looking treat. This bread is quite decadent. It, of course, looks amazing. The texture is soft and buttery. The flavors, it's butter and chocolate. I don't have to describe much more of this seasonal dessert. It makes you feel happy. And shocker, I know, it is a huge fan favorite for the kids. This is definitely a special once-in-a-while Christmas treat. Let us know what you think about this one in the comments, and make sure to check out our free sourdough tips and tricks download in the description, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the other amazing bakes that we've got coming up in our 12 days of sourdough this Christmas season. Merry Christmas.